Hello everyone. Are we on the shot? I'm in the shot. It's fine.
Cannot see.
I can see something. So this is another Coding and Philosophy podcast, a sustainability edition. We call it Coding and Sustainability. Oh, not Coding and Sustainability.
Maybe one day.
One day.
Coding and sustainability.
We call it Coding and Philosophy, but I think we cover all areas of life.
Yeah.
But that's what philosophy is about, I suppose. We're both coders. We both
I'm
like
not.
to talk.
I'm not a coder.
Yeah, well,
But maybe you can explain a bit more about that as well. So
yeah, sure.
I would be happy
We can
to hear.
we can teach you coding. You can tell us about sustainability.
That's a
So-
good combo.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it is. So just to explain a bit, Minni is an expert. The best expert about sustainability in this room as of right now.
As of right now.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored. I'm still learning every day, but thank
Yeah.
you.
So she works with something called MorrowX, which is geared towards making us a more sustainable world, right?
Something like that.
Something like
Yes, and especially from the company perspective, because we think that companies do have the potential to have a big impact when it comes to this sustainability topic. So,
But I don't want to. We were just getting to the core of the sustainability issue, and please continue what your point before I turn the mics on.
Well, before that, can we lay a foundations for our audience to explore what is exactly sustainability? Would be grateful if you share your aspect, and we can also share our initial understand of the aspect of sustainability. For my part, how I see sustainability is how we can make any game a long-term iterated game that spans across time. So time is the element, the critical element, how I see in sustainability. And I put into the specific context of company business. The game in here is the game of business. We aim to make money. Yes, we aim to make money.
first
Business-
hand, yes.
business has a core of making money, but in order to make money in a long term, very long term, then how do we do that? Of course, we can try to maximize the amount of money in the short time frame, but then in the long term, it will not be make as much. But how about we make less money now, but then in the long term, we can still sustain that amount, and then we accumulate towards that. So that's how I understand sustainability.
Yeah, I like that. That's I haven't actually thought about it like that, so that's a kind of fresh perspective as
Fresh
well.
perspective.
Yeah,
And of course, in order to achieve that long-term gains, they have the company have to modify the strategy so that the aspects such as the human aspect, the people working in the employee,
Yeah.
the social aspect, the entire social landscape that the companies is embedded in, and then the environmental aspect, because the environment is also the input resources of the company that consumes in order to make whatever product they have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's also a very important approach.
And also somewhat like the end point of whatever output that the companies would be end up in. So the company have to play around with those variables in order to make their, the profit.
True.
The aim of the game, of the company's game, can be repeatedly span across time into decades ahead.
Yeah.
That's how I
okay.
visualize sustainability.
True.
I think it's what my my concept of sustainability is more. I like that. I don't even want to top my explanation with my own.
Just share your understanding. What's your perspective on sustainability?
Like right now, like without any
Okay, I'll
interaction.
share a story. So I think, oh yeah, this fits. So I was on a walk. I hear all these stories about us destroying the, like, here's my honest, true perspective on sustainability and well, us destroying the planet in general. So I went on a lot of walks last couple of weeks ago, and yeah, I ended up on a walk near this like power plant, and then there were yeah, this fenced off kind of power plant which had like dealt with a lot of chemicals which were harmful to the environment and stuff like that. But right next to that, that was like a really nice beach, and it got me thinking about how. Huh? I don't remember the name.
Could be. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But so it got me thinking how I hear, you know, on the internet, if you like, I like to look at it this way: if aliens, let's say there's two aliens, one alien who only understands humans through reading the internet, and one human who comes down and doesn't read the internet but kind of walks around and sees what people are doing. Like there's completely different worlds, different. They're not the same, the internet and the real world. So
Usually not.
yeah, so kind of being in the real world, I mean, on the internet it seems like we're on the verge of destruction when it comes to our planet, and we're destroying ourselves, and it's just about to happen tomorrow. And well, as I go for a walk in the nature, I don't see that. And this of course means that I live in a very privileged place in Finland, where yeah, thumbs up, because
You guys are privileged.
yeah, we are, and
You
we
guys
should
have the best forests and lakes around here.
yeah,
And the purest air.
yeah.
That's fact.
So and there's nothing wrong with having privilege as long as you you don't take it for granted, right? So yeah, but anyway, so it got me thinking how in here things are really well when it comes to the environment, and like my whole thing is I don't put, let's say there's this the world is full of problems and we all have problems. So the problems which I want to tackle are not global ones, they're local ones, because that allows me to have the most impact on the, like if I think about the things which like on my list of tasks to do, I'm gonna focus on me, on my family, on my friends, on my local community, and then at the bottom of the list is the global community.
Okay.
And so it's not that I don't care about the environment. I don't care about that they have such polluted, I don't know, waters in, I don't know, in India, for example, or in one of these third world countries. But just that's such a low priority on my to-do list in a way, because you know I want to focus on, like if I saw toxic waste barrels in Finland here, and the water was polluted where I live, then I would go like, no, something needs to be done here. But just I guess it's a very pragmatic view of looking at the world, but that's how I operate.
Yeah, like you can only do so much, you know, like you cannot possibly affect everything. So you need to start from somewhere. And when you start from somewhere, like you're able to maybe influence the people around you, and then like consequently, like those people, maybe they will influence some other people around. Like that's like a ripple effect, you know?
Yeah, and also like here's how I also honestly feel is that I feel for us to even be concerned about the environment, we are also really privileged, because let's say there's some, I don't know, some tribes in, I don't know why I go to India, but some third world countries, and they just they burn coal so they don't freeze to death basically. And then us rich Westerners go there like, you shouldn't do that, that's bad for the environment, you should, so why don't you use the sun? And like it's such a, I feel that for us to be even concerned about sustainability, we come from a very privileged kind of place.
Yeah, because our basic needs are already covered. Like we don't need to care about shelter, or we don't need to care about whether we will be hungry tomorrow or today, or I don't know, like if we're gonna have like pure water to drink. So we don't need to care about those things. And of course, that's allowing us to focus on some other things, which like sustainability practices is one example of those. So
when we have all of the basic needs covered, we try to optimize the current way of living so that it needs things like sustainability. And it's interesting to see when you say that people can influence together in order to create a ripple effect. Yeah.
That's how I believe it works. Like, yeah, I've personally seen it. Like, because you can just talk to your friends or family and just like spread awareness and see what sticks, you know, like
the positive vibe.
Yeah, true.
Allow me to say, I understand you adopt your pragmatism and your belief that the world surrounding you impacts your belief, but when I try to simulate if a society consists of people just like you, it would not create a sustainable world, because everyone is just concerned with the immediate surrounding around them.
Can you move the mic so you speak more into it? I mean,
sure thing.
Keep it like So
sure
thing. That's good. That's good. So to that, I respond like I know that I'm not entirely pragmatic, or I don't just say that. Like here's what I want to say. So when I think about the global problems that need to be solved, I rank world hunger and basically I want the basic needs of every single person in this planet to be fulfilled before tackling on sustainability. Like, because I really believe that the world can only be as strong as its weakest society. And I want to lift everyone. Like, let's say we have this big problem of sustainability. How do you solve it? Well, you get more minds to work on the problem. You get more eyes to kind of look at it and try to solve it. And how do you do that? Well, you raise the poorest people and you give them proper food, you give them proper education and pure water, and you give them the internet. And then they can actually become players of this game that we play and the game that we take for granted. And that way, I think that's like my view, that's more like that's the way to solve the sustainability problem, is to get more brains to work on it. And that's it will basically solve itself once we help the poorest. Like, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, you need to empower people. Like, you need to, well, for starters, you need to educate them, because so many people have no clue. Like, then we come back to the basic needs problem, because, well, they need to start from somewhere. And, well, if you have like proper food and stuff like that, it will make it easier for you to participate. So that's how I see.
And also that's when you want to participate, because like what is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs? You know, they need to be like, in the bottom is like physiological needs, then it's maybe safety, and then it's something, and at top is maybe self-actualization,
something like that. Yeah.
And I think the sustainability aspect falls into the like top part, the self-actualization, because it kind of, I think, so before like a person even wants to have sustainability, they need to have the bottom of the pyramid filled. I'm gonna use magic. I'm gonna put the Maslow's pyramid of needs on the screen.
Okay. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
If someone listening hasn't encountered with that yet, I'm not sure how updated is the pyramid. Like, is it still?
I think it's still relevant in this day and age.
Yeah, true. But it's, well, you can start from there, I think. Yeah.
Sure. What do you mean, like, relevant in? Oh, like, what was that question you asked?
No, I was maybe heard from somewhere. It's a bit well, not so updated.
Not so updated.
Like, not so. well, there have been some new studies perhaps that build on top of that, but we can use that if I understood correctly. But
Interesting.
yeah.
But I feel the like mass, because everything is really just this is the way I look at it. It's just a way to understand the way things are have always been the same, and the way things are stays the same, but our theories to understand it kind of shift.
True.
You know what I mean? So the way I see the Maslow's hierarchy of need, it's just a way to visualize the kind of it's a way to think about the problem, or
yeah, to kind of conceptualize something that it's
Exactly.
easier to kind of comprehend. So yeah, true.
So maybe we have had like improvements in the way that we have different ways of conceptualizing. But yeah.
But then
How did we get here?
No, it's fine.
it's not. But then, sustainability is not about the environment. It's also about that social aspect as well. And the Maslow hierarchy being addressed to target the individual needs at an individual level. A society that effectively addresses those fundamental needs of the individual means that it's sustainable, because the games can be repeatedly on a long-term basis. So when you say that we provide the same needs for the poorest person on the earth, it's effectively addressing the sustainability aspect of the entire globe, because the name of the game for the humanity, mankind, is how do we bring up the entire humanity as a whole. That's how I see the game is. That's sustainability. We try to play the humanity game as long as possible.
True.
Yeah.
And right now, unfortunately, like the resources are very unevenly scattered. Like, for example, here in the first world, let's say, like we have all the food we can imagine, and then at the same time, like that's like the food that we are producing and even like throwing away, like it could be distributed more evenly. So there's like not a lack of food, but it's just like not distributed evenly. So for example, like if we think about the hunger perspective here, so
But
It's virtually nothing.
I'm really hopeful in I'm hopeful of the like humanity in general, because like there's an app called Rescue, which basically took all this food that the restaurants were gonna throw away, and they will sell it.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Yes.
we take tiny steps.
And then
But
it incentives restaurants to create more, because they know for sure that they can sell leftover.
oh yeah.
Yeah, so it incentive more production, right?
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, I see.
When
I see
someone-
your point. Yeah.
And that's so because I think Rescue, they try to make, hey, let's make it a more sustainable like world. We can like harness this food, but then their solution created more problems, and it's such
more profit.
Yeah, more profit. So that's why the whole sustainability is such a difficult problem to solve, because your one solution might like create other sustainability problems, right? You know, so it's we need more minds to work on it. That's the key, I think. You know?
Yeah, and we need like courageous people like that make decisions, because otherwise we'll just be stuck where we are.
Courageous people that make decision.
Yeah.
It sounds to me that we really need those kind of leader who really have the best interest of the social aspect, humanity aspect, and environmental aspect in their mind.
And knowledge, like they
Yeah.
know about these things, and they know about like they understand this issue in like a deep detail in a way, so they can make more informed decisions as well. That would be
And become
very
leader.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, and also we need
That would be optimistic. Yeah.
I can be optimistic as well.
Yeah, and we also need people to not just silently. We need people to voice their opinion, because I like the saying, if you don't speak up, someone will speak for you. So if you just accept the status quo, and even though you think that, oh, I think the world should be more sustainable, but you don't actually say that, or you don't, for example, well, you don't speak it out loud, then it's not a belief that you even believe in, I don't think.
Yeah, or if you're like aware of the problem, but you're still doing nothing in order to solve it on your part. I personally think that individuals also do have like a potential to have big impact, like the ripple effect. Like if many of us come together to do something, then it becomes a big thing all of a sudden. So yeah, that's not the only thing. Of course, we need regulations and legislative things as well, and the companies, we need them. We need everyone pretty much to get together to work on these things. So
yeah, it's a complicated issue.
it is.
And
The more you know, the more confused you are. So
yeah, and one thing I would like to, I know that it's not there. Like if you have people yelling and screaming, or getting really upset, getting really, like, you know, there are those, I don't know what you call them. Like when I walk the streets, I see graffiti, go vegan or save the planet, and I go like, that's really hurting your message, I think, if you do like anarchy, basically. I don't believe in anarchy when it comes to especially sustainability, or like doing graffiti, or like how would I put this, like agitation.
yeah, like kind of provocative in a way. Like.
Yeah, it's like, because it's coming from this, here's the way I see it, that let's say you're really sustainable and you believe in it, and then you see
sustainable.
yeah, so and you see someone who doesn't know about the problem, doesn't care about it. Well, do you get angry at them, or they will respond with anger, and they will probably go even further away from sustainability? Or do you kind of bring them, you know, in a subtle way to the discussion? You know what I'm trying to say? So
like, that's like conflict resolution 101.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. Yeah, so how do you approach people who are not sustainable if you are sustainable? You know, like
True.
I got a problem with some vegans, not all, but some vegans, is that you invite them to a cookout, and they go, oh, I can't eat this, do you have anything else? And like, come on, like, I made a lot of food was made here, and you come here and you say you don't. It's ungrateful. That's how I feel. But that's a whole nother topic, you know.
Yeah, I see your point. Actually, well, kind of related topic. Like you were talking about the like provocation and things like that. This morning I was in this workshop, and there was this idea of, well, it was based on this carbon neutral activities, and one of the ideas was related to food, like how in the schools, for example, like what if instead of you having like a vegetarian or vegan day in the canteen, you would just, well, it's just another day, and we still do have like vegetarian or vegan food here available, but what if you don't make it as that big of a point, you know, like it's just food. Yeah. Because sometimes it's when you hear like it's vegetarian or vegan, like you might have this attitude, okay, like I'm not gonna have that just because of that.
Yes.
You know?
I kind of can imagine that situation.
Yeah.
But then what about the proposal that we just offer them as food?
Food.
We don't make a fuss about like this is vegan. We don't attach label to and
true.
differentiate from other way to prepare a meal. maybe the attitude of the people would change. Well, they would just eat it and say, consider that this is the norm.
Yeah, maybe they even recognize it's like vegetarian food, and they will be like surprised. Oh, this is actually quite tasty. Like I never would have imagined. So
I think that's gonna be the next step, because whenever you have we're in the kind of breaking, or in this, we don't accept it yet. So it's not normalized, like you said. It's still something like, oh, vegan food.
What is not normalized? Vegan. What do you mean? It's all over the place. People are accepting it. There's vegan restaurants, there's vegan options.
it is, but people still have these attitudes, unfortunately.
Okay.
But the let's say, I would say in 10 years it's not like it's not even gonna be discussed, because it's so normal. It's so normal that it's gonna be, there's gonna be some new problems, some new things that we're gonna focus on. But yeah, I think well, I look at this thing as that, just looking at the small steps that we make. I look at it from the big view, because I think that's the way to keep yourself sane, or keep yourself hopeful, and like it's because if you want to save the planet, let's say, whatever that means, it's very
It's not about saving the planet, it's about addressing humanity.
Well, it is also about saving the planet, because like you said, we want the game to continue.
Yes.
And
but it's not about the planet. It's humanity living in the planet.
Yeah, well that's you're
I
right
mean, planet will survive, but other thing is whether humanity will survive. Like, that's
but
another thing.
From my perspective, saving the planet means saving it so that humans can live on it.
True.
You know what I mean?
True.
It doesn't address the fact that the center of concern is not the planet, it's us.
That's true.
It's our children.
Yeah.
And I love my children.
I see I like your thinking. Yeah. I share many visions. It's interesting.
Yeah. And we have been talking a lot about how from an individual perspective and approaching sustainability, can I invite to take a little bit further than that towards companies level? Society as a whole, companies and government, bigger entity that consists of many individuals. And one of my beliefs is that a big source of pollutions is coming from production, industrial activities, and it traces back to the reason why humanity thrived, which is the industrial revolutions.
Yeah, exactly.
And the way we start using coal in order to make fuel, an efficient fuel nonetheless.
Yeah.
So it traces back so deep into the way why humans thrive.
Yeah. Like basically, like we're dependent on nature, which we don't realize. Like it probably like originally traces back all the way to what is like Enlightenment period, like in the 1800s or 1700s, I'm not sure. But when we kind of started to separate ourselves from the nature, like there was culture and there was nature, and with the humankind, like the man was able to kind of control the nature.
Yeah.
Right?
Once cities started, or once like big cities started to form, and like I think you're talking about the Industrial Revolution. That was really
I'm talking about before that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I understood. Like, it's something that is still alive somewhere there behind in the back of our heads. Like we somehow still see ourselves superior to the nature, even though we're part of it. We're like totally dependent on nature. And that's the problem, like, because we're using all the natural resources without like the care in the world. So luckily we're starting to kind of awaken to that fact that that cannot keep happening forever. So
you understand that we like have a finite with the way we're playing the game now, it's gonna end at some point.
Yeah.
And so much faster if we keep on repeating the strategy we had back in the Industrial Revolution. I think I see that companies have made tremendous effort to addressing this problem. For example, recycling. Their effort to reduce and recycle, to bring back the materials that can be used back into the production and manufacturing chain.
True.
I think that's one of a plausible effort towards the way industry is behaving right now.
It is. I personally do see, like, if you're talking about like circular economy, which is like you use the resource, which is usually like the waste, you use it as much as you can until like the value kind of, stops from existing. So.
But it will never stop from existing. It's always gonna be in the circle, right?
It's not, because, if you use some sort of material like for 5 times, let's say, like, it's not going to be the same quality than it was in the beginning.
The way I've understood circular economy is that the whole thing is about reusing everything, all the resources stay in the circle forever. No? In some form.
It's that's
the ideal, isn't it?
the ideal, of
The
course,
ideal.
but unfortunately, it's not the reality. Like, you do still have to keep producing more, because, that's the kind of core issue when it comes to circular economy, because you will continuously be needing, like, let's say, like the food waste, like rescue, for example. You will continuously need more resources in order to keep that economy going on, right? So it's also, if we're not aware of that core issue, we will be like still, I don't know, like maintaining the same problems in the future.
Yeah.
So we need to be aware of this.
I wanna
kind
focus
of
more on the company aspect. I think we discussed this before. Turning on the mics is how right now I saw 2 speeches. One was from an investor point of view, and he said that there was a study done, and it basically according to statistics, investors are more likely to invest to companies or startups which have some sustainability angle, right? And this is not only like angel investor, it's like big giant, what do you call them, these hedge funds, I guess.
Yeah, and banks as well.
Banks as well,
Yeah.
all. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that right now, according to statistics, companies that will have sustainability in there, or like care about, have some sustainability angle, do better in the marketplace, in the global economy, right? So those 2, and they're like statistics, it's empirical data. And that makes me so hopeful that we're gonna sort this mess out somehow. because of those 2, like, those are like those signs. They're signs that we're gonna sort this out, to me at least.
Yeah, I agree on that, but then again, we need to be aware. Like, we need to be aware of the actions that we take. Like, we need to be aware what is the most impactful action we can make, pretty much. Like, for example, like ESG reporting, which is like this.
I don't know what this. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Environmental, social, and governance. Like, the companies report based on these aspects. Like, they report their operations. Like, the bigger companies are required to report, and that will be the requirement also for smaller companies in the future.
So it's a law. It's a law that has been passed, or is gonna be passed, or.
The ESG is not itself a law, but there will be this corporate sustainability reporting directive, CSRD. Perhaps you will be hearing about that, but that will require even like smaller, like listed SMEs, so small medium enterprises, to report their sustainability aspects.
Okay, here's a question. What happens
Yes.
if I'm a small company and I don't report? What's the consequences?
That's a good question.
That's the thing.
Probably, I don't know the consequence yet, but probably there will be some fines or
Okay, because
something like that.
that's one thing which I see a lot in the, like you talk about the directives for all these like, yeah, there's a lot of sustainability directives, some things goals that we want to reach, and we're kind of we're not making strict like penalties for breaking this like they're more like suggestions. They aren't like do this or you get fined, right? That's the way I see a lot of the regulation when it comes to sustainability going. They're like, if I mean, do this, it would be great if you do this, but also we're not gonna really punish you if you break this, you know.
I mean, like when we talk about the EU, I hope I'm saying the right things. I'm not that familiarized
Like
with
I said,
the
you're the
different
biggest
things.
expert in this building right now.
So I'm trying to. Hopefully, Yannick is listening from our team. He's a human rights expert, so and also like the policy stuff is his expertise more of. But when it comes to like this EU legislations, that the EU member states are, well, like they need to follow those. That there are different types of those. So there are like regulations, which is like more binding. So it will be the same legislation for all of the member states. And then there is directive, which is the kind of like, well, it directs the national legislation. So it gives like the framework for the national legislation to kind of adapt to that regulation. So it's not that binding. It's not as binding as the regulation is. That's how I understood. So there are different types of legislation, if that makes sense. So.
It has a different degree of enforcement and severity and
Yeah.
criticality.
Yeah.
That
Yes, exactly.
determines what happens when a company or an entity violates those and
True.
wow.
So, for example, this CSRD, so it's for the national government to kind of, well, decide like how they want to implement that directive in Finland, for example. Like, it's a bit more flexible in a way. Hopefully, I've understood it right.
Please carry on. I need to put more battery to the. Carry on the conversation. Just a sec. This
All
is
right.
like technical difficulties.
Yeah. But I was thinking, like, how did I get to this?
Exactly. I'm also trying to trace back our thread of conversation. We're wanting to get to we're talking about legislation and directive, small and medium enterprises, and they have to conform to that
Directive.
It's called the directive.
Like, yes, the CSRD. Yes.
That's all. That also applicable to not only small and medium enterprises, also bigger company, big corporation.
Yes. It will be, well, gradually implemented. So the implementation will start with like the biggest companies that already have been reporting before, based on like this different directive that I don't remember the name of, but
is there
basically like they're more familiar with this like reporting
a lot of reporting
stuff. So but anyway, it will go from bigger companies to smaller companies. That's like the logical trajectory in a way. So yeah, but I don't know what was the point that we got
Well,
this from, but
it's fine, but I wanna move on to open a new leaf.
okay, please
So
do.
It's also when you think about. So here's something I heard that Russia is in a way kind of for them global warming, or at least the ice caps melting, is a good thing because it means that an entirely new sea will be forming in the place where the Arctic area is now, and that sea strategically will become really important in the future for like importing and exporting, and Russia has the biggest claim to that area. So it's interesting to think about how some companies, if you pass, like let's say, don't burn coal, or we shouldn't use oil or something like some countries will kind of it will hurt some countries more than others.
Yeah.
So it's also, I think, sustainability, and in let's say US best interest is to make Russia kind of and China kind of fall, and they can do that also through legislation or like global rules that we set up for the game. So it's that's why it's such a complicated issue, because there's also like self-interest, at least from the countries, to pass these certain laws and certain, I don't know, legislation and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, but we do need like legislation as well. Like we cannot expect people to kind of just do the good deed just for the sake of it. Like we need to have some sort of what is the word? Like
consensus.
Consensus, yeah, but ohjauskeino, like
a way to direct people.
Yeah.
Give a sense of
some
direction.
sort of directives.
Yeah.
Directions, I would say. Yeah.
So in every game, there ought to be refugees in order to control the game, and the refugee ought to know the rules.
Referees?
Referee.
Yeah, I thought you said refugees, like
Oh,
people who
me too.
escape. Okay.
Pardon me. Yeah, I lost for a word for a while.
It's okay.
But in every game, people can agree on a set of rules, and there will be there will be a body of a government body in order to regulate the rules. In the context of every game, referee.
Referee, yeah, that's a good word. Yeah.
But who could be that referee? Who is basically? Is it Switzerland who's like really
it's rather
neutral?
Hard. It's rather difficult because we don't know how. I don't know how the laws are enforced in the EU. Perhaps the enforcer can be the referee.
But that's the thing is, who could be, or what country? I like to look at it from the country aspect because that makes it more.
Why countries? Why not like an international body, like
Well,
people, representatives from countries together form into one party, one organization, entity.
But what you're talking about, let's say that board has, let's say 100 people and 40 are from the US.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna be passing laws in the favor of US and maybe in that hurt Russia and China, for example. So that's why it's such a, it's so big when you start to break down the whole, how do we fix this big problem? I honestly see the only answer is we get more minds to work on the problem.
I think the more mind we have on the problem, it exaggerates the current problem we have.
Will it really?
Exaggerate the discrepancy that we are currently facing right now.
Well, I don't agree with what you're saying. I think it will, of course, whenever you solve a problem, the solution creates more problems, but at least you're advancing, right? You don't have the problem you had yesterday because it was solved, right? So that's the way I see that. No. If we want to at least take the steps towards making the game infinite, well, the best solution is we get more players in the game.
Yeah. let's think about statistics for a bit. Just a couple of minutes thought bubbles. If we have more brains on this world, what is the probability and the percentage of them is willing enough to enter the sustainability problem solving rather than being attracted to things?
I need
like
you to
making
talk
profit?
talk into the mic, like turn your head a bit, like, because I see the levels here. Yeah, please continue.
Yeah. And what are the odds that those newly created minds interested in solving the sustainability problem instead of being attracted to making more profit or more, I don't know, things that are more relevant to them?
Well, to that I would say, even though they might not even be aware that they are solving, like, they might be solving problems and not be even aware that they are being helping to solve sustainability, but they are, let's say, I don't know, they're bad example, but they're chef and they make food and they give really good food to a bunch of sustainability people who meet up at their restaurant and then talk about make good decisions. And because the environment in the restaurant is so good, they come up with greater decision.
Ripple
So
effect, huh? Ripple effect, huh?
exactly. So it will always, I think, ripple out to, yeah.
Yeah, but what if you just empower the people, like educating them and, well, including them into decision making, so that they've had enough knowledge that they need in order to participate. Like, maybe we don't need like all the people to decide on everything, but like enough representators in a way that they feel like included the decision, so they will be more likely also to take these actions because they feel like, okay, we've been asked to participate. So they feel like the ownership, like the agency of their own life and like the future as well.
That's okay.
In the sense.
Minni, let's also play another stage. Please empower us in order to participate in the sustainability consciousness.
Oh, right now.
Yeah, right now. Just imagine.
Okay, so
we are the average Joe. We are we're making money and we have the basics need covered. We have vaguely some understanding of sustainability, but barely any actions done from an individual level. All right.
okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, I have an example, a perfect example for this. So just before we entered the building.
You will please hear me out.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
I'll go next.
Please empower us to take action.
Okay, well, have you taken this? For example, there are many resources that you can take a look at. You can figure out your carbon footprint, for example, so that you can see like what is your personal impact that you're having currently, and you can, well, for example, have like different list of actions you can take in order to cut your personal carbon footprint. That's one way you can start with. So it's something like concrete that you can do part of your everyday life. And there are like plenty of other resources available as well to take a look at.
I think look up your personal carbon footprint can be an easy, actionable step.
I also have a question. So when we entered the building, I suggested I talked about using the elevator. And you were like, no, that's not really sustainable. And I don't, like, why is using the elevator bad in your mind instead of taking a stairs? Electricity?
Okay,
Can you describe your... Yeah, please.
Okay, well, the electricity is one way. Like, you need to produce it somehow. It comes from somewhere. I don't really know, like, how Platform 6 electricity is produced.
Yes.
I would be actually interested to know, like, if someone listening to this for MorrowX sake.
Yeah.
But, it's also good for your health to kind of include this hyötyliikunta, like this, I don't know, like common exercise to your daily life. Because, well, we sit so much during the day, right? So we want to take some like quite easy action, so that you can like walk the stairs every now and then. Like you don't need to do it every time if you don't want to, but
allow me to say it's not just about the one single actions of replacing the elevator with a stair. Well, I can try to do that and replace every time. But what I want to emphasize that the empowerment in actions comes from the thoughts. Why do I have such thoughts and such values, so that it carry over in the context of replacing every items like that with a better alternative to align with that new value.
True. Of course, you need resources. You need to know where to start looking from. Sometimes it can be a challenging task and a daunting task to try to find those resources, know where to look for.
Yeah,
so
I also think the talking about the empowerment, it in order for a person to start taking more sustainable steps, they need to first have the comprehension that why should they take these steps? What's the impact of taking the stairs instead of taking the electricity, and what's the impact of like, and I think what you suggested, looking at the carbon footprint, that's like step one, because, or at least me looking at it, I wouldn't know what that actually means. Like if it gives some score, this is how much your carbon footprint is, I go okay, but I have no idea what does that actually mean. And I think the more you delve into that world, the greater of a like it kind of grips you in a way, and then the more sustainable you will become. So I like to look at things like the smallest possible things you can do. So like even just talking about sustainability, keeping the conversation up about it, that's in a way it's also impacting or like it's taking steps towards a more sustainable world.
Sure. And like many times we talk about like people are like climate anxious, and especially like young people, because well they're very like climate anxious about their future.
And they don't have employment anxious.
The what?
Employment anxiety.
Oh, that as well, combined. Recession and everything nice. No, but well, like many times young people feel these kind of feelings, but there's also need a way to kind of mitigate those feelings, and I've understood like by taking action you can actually ease up your anxiety in a way, because it gives you this feeling of, well, it gives you like some sort of like a feeling of control that you are doing something to, well, for better future.
Yeah.
So that's why we can start from the small actions and see where it leads. So.
Yeah, it's interesting talking about how in a way ignorance is bliss.
It is.
So if you don't know anything about this, the more global, the sustainability problem, then you can just go through your life and not do anything. But the more you learn about it, the more anxious you become about it. But then, like you said, you can take those steps to kind of like lessen the anxiety. And also, I don't believe in that saying that ignorance is bliss, actually. I think you should be aware of everything and learn how to accept it in a way. I think that's when you're talking about climate anxiety, I think it comes from people who they have learned about sustainability, but they want too big, they don't appreciate the small steps. Like they in a way they're ungrateful. Of course, that's a pretty harsh word to use of them, but you have to really think about the grand scale, the big game, you know? and we're not gonna become sustainable or like appreciate the small steps. That's the way I would put it. You know.
Yeah, I think I follow, but maybe you can still elaborate a bit.
Yeah. So basically, how if let's say I learn about the sustainability, I become really anxious about. Oh no, we're not really being sustainable, and the ice caps are melting and all this stuff. Then, well, the antidote for that is to, I think, accept your own tiny part in this world and your own tiny, kind of accept your insignificance in a way, but also understanding that your even small impacts have a ripple effect. Like we were talking, if you're a chef and you provide this amazing service, and it will ripple out, giving a place for people to discuss these things. Good environment, but that's just a tiny example. But basically, just yeah, I guess my point is I see the antidote for sustainability anxiety being, well, accepting your insignificance, and well, knowing that you kind of thinking about your actions from I guess appreciating the small actions that you do, or like I don't know, it's very, like I talk about that you're very insignificant, but also talking about the ripple effect, because like I said, like us even talking about this, it can create a ripple effect, or it will, and I don't know what my point is. Yeah. But yeah, you asking like, did I clarify it?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I kind of agree with the insignificance part, but then again not, because it, well, kind of diminishes it diminishes your ability to kind of affect the things around you in a way, which I don't believe. But of course, you need to be able to kind of, well, categorize like what I am able to have an impact on, kind of, if you're following.
I'm not sure I am.
So like what is within the scope that I can affect, pretty much. Of course you can use your imagination. Like
I can try to phrase how I understand Juho is that in response to the anxiety towards the sustainability and the deterioration landscape, some people are anxious and not being able to take any actions, thinking of such a grand, being obsessed with such a big entity they don't know and how to take an actions. And I think Juho's proposal for that is, rather than trying to think such a big picture like that, accept the fact that an individual in the face of the universe is so small, so just focus on the smallest action that the individual can take in order to move ahead, in order to move forward. And that is the message behind that: accept and appreciate the little thing, and do the smallest thing that's possible.
Smallest, the most impactful action.
The smallest can be impactful in order to just move
Yeah,
ahead.
if you know what you're doing, like,
and overcoming that anxiety, because anxiety can be blocking and just hold you in a place.
True.
Just make that small action.
Yeah.
That's how I try to understand it.
Yeah,
And of course, the specific word of insignificance can be somewhat different and opposite of your message of empower the individual. Yes, I can feel that you value the empowering the individual to into taking action and into the belief that they themselves are an element of making the change onto this world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, part of the bigger puzzle of the solutions.
Yes.
In a way.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the individuals and empowering them. That's like you said, it's one piece of this giant puzzle that we have. And I don't think anyone can. That's the thing. No one can raise their hands and say that, oh no, I'm not, like, that they're out of the game, basically. Though they don't have to care about sustainability. Like, we all have a part to play.
Yeah, the global north does have a bigger part, but I get your point. Yes. Yeah.
I think we've been talking for an hour now.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, it went really fast. So
I hope you, the audience, are empowered at the moment to just
Maybe more confused.
Yep. But
empowering nonetheless to want to
Yeah.
know more about the sustainability aspect. That would be
Yeah.
great. That would be a great outcome.
Yeah, maybe they will go and figure out their carbon footprint. Like
exactly. And if you have
That's the
questions, if you have questions about sustainability, message Minni.
Yes,
on-
MorrowX.
Yeah,
You can
MorrowX.
find- You can find us
Yeah.
on social media.
Social media go.
stuff.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us for another episode. This was really fun.
This is really
Yeah, thank you for
Fun.
invitation. I had no idea what to expect, but this was fine.
Okay.
This was actually kind of fun.
Yeah, kind of fun.
Kind
okay.
of fun.
Kind of fun. That's good.
No, it was fun.
Yeah. So see you guys in the next episode.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Good night.